Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is Monday the 31st of October 2016 and this is my first video coming to you from Asia, and I want to apologise for not being able to get any videos out up until today. I just hope the internet is going to be strong enough at this location to upload it in a timely manner. So I'm going to try and do a couple of videos today of multiple stories. And this first one comes from the Gemstone website, dated the 29th of October. Julian Assange is obviously dead. Consider these facts, and then figure the odds of him being alive. 1. WikiLeaks' DNS server was suddenly pointed elsewhere. That's right. That night, in the wee hours of the morning after Pamela was there to poison him, police in an armoured vehicle showed up at the embassy, and that night the DNS server pointed to a different IP address for WikiLeaks, and Google updated everything instantly. So the transfer was completely seamless from the real WikiLeaks server to the fake WikiLeaks server that was at a completely different IP address. 2. Mr. Assange's subsequent tweets were noticeably more hostile and attacked his many loyal supporters. I reported this repeatedly. 3. Mr. Assange's tweets regularly misspelled the names of some of his closest friends whom he has known for decades. Gavin McFadden became McFadden, for example. McFadden, 76, the director of WikiLeaks, was found dead 3 days after Assange started having mystery problems. This is something I made a huge issue of here. 4. Streams of disinformation were spewed. 5. Themes supported by Mr. Assange for years were then knocked down or discredited by his subsequent tweets and communications. Very bad timing with that. Everyone with a brain noticed this, and it lit up the forums and blogs. 6. Quote, body doubles, end quote, rumours have been circulated and documented. 7. New strange, hitherto unknown moderators of WikiLeaks have suddenly been installed. 8. His quote, dead man switch, end quote, was activated before the armed vehicle even showed up at the embassy, which means Assange probably manually triggered it after he figured out he was poisoned. Much of his stored data and secret website pins were to be released in the event of his untimely death. I released both dead man switches here, one encrypted and one unencrypted. All of this happened right after Pamela Anderson showed up with a lunch that was no doubt poisoned, and the media talked about how Assange was quote pale, end quote, and quote not feeling well, end quote, when she left, and that he said the food Pamela bought him was quote torture, end quote. Good for a laugh in the inside circles to have this go out on the mainstream media, no doubt. My take. Assange was poisoned and then removed from the embassy in an armoured vehicle. This was clearly visible in a live feed someone set up that night because something was amiss. And I saw that and stayed up the entire night for it. That is why I strongly stated that he can't possibly still be in the embassy. Perhaps he got medical care to save him and is now being waterboarded. If the new quote WikiLeaks releases end quote are real, they are not coming from the WikiLeaks server. Only a redirect to a different server in the name of WikiLeaks. The IP address change proves it, and we can only hope it is white hats doing it. It seems so, but one can only guess. And guys, I want to remind you of the playing card from the Illuminate game back in the 1980s. Now I'm sure you're all aware of this one, as there's a lot of guys covering this, but it's obviously based on Julian Assange, and the card reads, and stay dead. Play this card immediately after any group has been destroyed or discarded by any player. It requires an action from a magic group. The destroyed group is gone forever. No card or special ability can revive it. And guys, I was just thinking about this today. while I was reading this article. And I was thinking, well, how is it possible, first of all, that things like this can be predicted and cards can be built and people can be linked to the card? Either it would require a crystal ball to see into the future, or perhaps these people are implanted into this world to play the part and are all deep state operatives, which I think is total nonsense. But nonetheless, it's a plausible theory. But then I suddenly thought, well, hang on. If we go back to the John Titor stories, where he is a time traveller sent from the future to come back to find a computer, like one of the first Apple 500s or something like that, then perhaps, based upon predictive programming, like Jumper, the film where they can travel from one time to another time to fix issues, then perhaps time travel actually really is possible. And perhaps it has been going on for a long time. And perhaps when these cards were developed in the first place, they already had this time jump facility where they would know of impacting issues in the future. And in order to put it into like an instruction booklet for people living in this time line, because we obviously know about timelines. There are many different forms of timeline, supposedly, that you can live in. Now, without going too deep into that section, some of you will understand what I'm talking about and others won't. But without making it long-winded, I won't explain that aspect. But for those of you that understand it, that is actually a very plausible thing behind how these cards were created. Because a lot of these cards actually come true. So perhaps they know ahead of time what is going to happen. I mean, how can they have an image that looks very close to the person? Well, and how do they know things like the Twin Towers are going to be coming down and waves are going to be crashing over cities and lots of other events that have already happened upon the cards? So to me that makes a lot of sense, that this guy was targeted as a very high profile problem for the deep state organization, and they knew ahead of time that they were going to be able to kill him. And there's so many different ways that you can kill somebody, so it's really food for thought. And it probably is quite likely that he is now dead, with all the issues that have been going on, and with the ability of FBI and CIA and NSAs being able to infiltrate this WikiLeaks setup to now start smearing the information that's coming out, because they have the control of it. They have taken out anybody who is a key director of WikiLeaks. So what's to say that the information that's coming out will now not be doctored to not be as damaging as first thought was going to be released? And I don't understand the whole reason between why he was meant to be coming out on a live link to release some of the most damaging information about the Clintons, and then it was suspended for threats of whatever the threats were, we don't know. Now, I'm very suspicious about this whole Julian Assange guy anyway, and so much of this is obviously being covered up. It's like the embassy in London, the Ecuadorian embassy, just went quiet on a blackout. No media release of information about Julian Assange. Which, if they were harbouring this fugitive for many years and protecting him from harm's way, why would they then not want to release information regarding how that security has been breached and that he has been assassinated effectively? So either the embassy has been infiltrated, or it was all set up anyway to trap him so he could release certain amounts of information, or perhaps he was just a puppet the whole time anyway, and it's just basically a pawn inside of the game structure. And who's to know if the information that's coming out is actually going to be damaging I mean, why would they leave it so late into the election? I know they said they want to release it late so as to leave the party no option to replace the candidate. But where has that got him? So perhaps he has been poisoned. Perhaps he has been given some drug. And a lot of the times, the drugs have antidotes. But it's interesting that the card has been specified as magic. Black magic. Now, whether poisons can be classed into a magic form, I don't know. But a lot of people believe in black magics and things like that. But either way, we'll see how this unfolds and what comes to light, if anything. But to be honest, this is probably just a headline and a story to divert attention away from more serious situations, because that's the whole point of a pawn, if he is a pawn, if this setup is like a chessboard. The pawns are the distracting topics. You don't worry about the pawns. They are the sacrificing pieces to the bigger agenda of winning the game. So that's how you need to read all these stories. So I'll leave the article there. We'll move on to the next topic now. So I'll leave that article there so I can upload this video in a short snippet. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, guys.